Can you tell me a little bit about your role as the series producer?
Yeah, the series producer, I mean, on every show, it's a little bit different, but I'll say on This Is Pop, I was pretty much everywhere. There's a lot of people that work on these kind of shows, directors, writers, researchers, big bosses, the money people, and also all the post people. So people, the technical people to make sure it looks good. So I talked to all of them pretty much every day just to make sure that we could make, the coolest show ever. But I got to do a lot of creative too. So from the get-go, what stories are we going to do and how are we going to make them?
I've noticed too, especially in the last year of pop music, just how music is consumed and where music comes from. I think we've seen like TikTok is something that's really had an influence on the pop music industry as a whole. So do you think that in itself has a huge influence like on music industry?
It's interesting. When we first started talking about this show, one of the things because there's so many ages of people that worked on it, it was fascinating to me to realize, like, even just the language that you would use about how do you consume music. Are you saying tape or album or song or single, or how do you is there anything physical or is everything in the digital realm? So we realized a lot of people never think of songs as an album anymore. They know the song. They might realize if they look at a playlist that a song, there might be two songs from the same album, but people experience it because it's coming to them. It's been curated, it's in the algorithm, and they trust either their friends or TikTok or Spotify playlists to tell them the things that they like, which I think is amazing because I've definitely learned about a lot of music from Spotify learning other things I like. And I think I have such cool taste. And they're telling me things I've never even heard of. And I'm just like, oh, this is my coolest friend I've ever had. Like I've discovered way more than I would just talking to my personal friends. So yeah, I feel like these new ways of encountering music, I think is amazing. I know that it's difficult for a lot of artists because you don't have as much control and certainly don't get as much back out of it. And I think that's a huge thing too. But in terms of exposure and feeling and how do people engage with music, it's a whole new world.
Totally. And I think that goes into like the consumers can relate on like an individual level because there's so much of it out there too, right? So you can like find your artist that you like that might not be as huge anymore or like as huge and then consume that. It's very fascinating like how it's changed even in the last decade, I found.
It's amazing. And I also felt like, just like I was saying before, in terms of have there been any series on this about pop music? Because I feel like pop music has been relegated to it's fluffy or it's for young people. I don't think music should be for music snobs or people that have all the information. I feel like it should be democratic, and not only democratic, well, maybe this is democratic. Everybody should have the voice of being able to say, I love this, this is why. And I want to combine this song with this song. They might be from 7 years apart or 25 years apart, but they both mean something to me right now.
Totally. Yeah. And as a pop host myself, I always thought getting into radio, I was like, oh, I can only be in pop music until I'm in my like maybe mid 30s. And then I'm going to be local pop music. But the older I get, I'm like, the only person that's telling me that I'm not allowed to be in that is me. So I think it really has shown that like there is no age or barriers when it does come to the love of music.
I totally agree. And I think the other thing is too, and I feel like people that remember before Spotify or before Napster or LimeWire or any of those series, you weren't able to, if a song was gone and you didn't have it on an album, when would you ever hear it? You might hear it on a TV show or in a movie, maybe if you're rummaging through some record bins, but even who does that? There's very few people relatively that do that. So now that all music from all eras is available all the time, I love that. The discovery of what you actually like, and then the influence on modern music, because people are realizing that, that meme with Fleetwood Mac and Dreams, Fleetwood Mac has gone back into the charts, I don't know, dozens of times since their heyday, because that music is good and it means something different to every generation. So why does it have to be relegated to a time when it might actually make you feel as good now as it did to other people then?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I could say you're in talk to all day. I wish we could.
That was
great.
That was really fun.
Awesome. Amanda, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Shannon.